it is the season for which our very favorite oil. Well, that's hard to say. I have so many, but it is the season of Higgy, guys. It's coming
It
upon
is.
season of the cozy.
Yep. Time to get Higgy with it.
Yep. Trying
We
to
love
get you with it. Yes.
we love Higgy.
Higgy.
And Harvest Spice. Yes, Maria. All fall oils, right?
Yeah, and sometimes before Harvest Spice was around, I just loved putting a little cinnamon oil and wild orange oil, maybe a little lemon to kind of blend it well. But that I just love is like, oh, it's fall goddess goodness in
So
some
fun.
essential oil bottles.
And before anyone corrects us on the pronunciation, we do know that a lot of people call it hygge, but not here. So this is a different zone. We do things our own way. We identify as Higgyites, not Huggeites.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it's important because some of you are maybe newer to our friend group, and we're so glad you're here. So you wouldn't maybe know that. And we are very aware of the correct pronunciation of the word Higgy is technically, as Andy said, hygge, but hygge, and you need a lot of digestion to help you get over that, right? Hygge is like, there's a whole body reaction, where Higgy is like, ooh, put a cozy blanket on, let's snuggle, let's bake some cookies, like, we just, plus it's just like some human decided how that word was pronounced at some point anyway, so different humans can make a new decision.
There you go. I love it.
Anyway, good morning, everyone. Happy first Wednesday of September. We just talked about that. Like, September is such a vibe. There is so much magic happening this month, and just like this vibe, this energy, it's just like, ooh, we're going to create. We're going to harvest. We're going to plant a lot of seeds. We're into the last 4 months of this year.
That's right.
For me, I don't know about you guys, but I really look at Q4 is technically October 1 through the end of December, but where I take so much time off in December, really Q4 for me, I look at it's like September, October, November. And it's just like we are in creative juiciness left and right. Summer Tiff, we love her. There's still a vibe there, but we're in a lot of creation energy now.
A to the man. And
Andy, do you want to tell everyone and show them your new toy that you got?
Well, we're all about recognition here. And as much as I hate to draw attention to myself.
Humble brag.
So I got a little package in the mail this week. And it wasn't a little package, actually, as you can tell. This is a pretty big package. And it had a little plaque for me to put. I don't know if you can read it, but it has million miler. So apparently I reached 1,000,000 miles in Delta, and this is what I got out of the deal. So I had to have a pretty good laugh because many of you have heard us teach the principle in the past that we sell the destination and not the airline. And what we mean by that is there is a simple marketing principle. Like I could sit here all day and tell you, Delta could market themselves by saying, we have the newest planes, we have the most leg room, we have the safest protocols, we have the best trained pilots, and all those things seem like the most important thing to the company, but to the customer, what do they want? They want to get somewhere cool. Most people do not buy plane tickets so they can sit on a plane. Did you guys know that? Most people are actually en route to somewhere where they want to be, whether it's a vacation or a work trip or connecting with family. It's about where you're going. And so this principle is critical when we think about our role in doTERRA, which is to sell what? We want to sell the destination of good health. of more freedom, emotional freedom, financial freedom, like all the levels of living free. And so when this arrived in the mail, I just had to have a little chuckle, because I think Delta does a pretty good job at a lot of things, but this is like the epitome of selling the airline. It's like, congratulations, you've invested so much money with us. We just want to sell you the plane, like literally the plane. Like, here's so
I mean,
I just
look at that beauty.
I mean, they put a lot of attention to all the detail. I don't know if you can see.
I wonder though, the thing I was
Sorry, you're
wow,
cutting out.
so cool. I was just hoping they would send you a whole snack basket too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Bring me one of those mini bags of Sun Chips that has like 3 chips in it.
3 chips to get me through this. But well, you have seen a lot of the world. But Andy texted that to me and he's like, should I show this off on our Wednesday call? And I was like, you bet you better.
So
But
it's
we
a good
do love
reminder
that
to me.
concept, right? Sell the
Yep.
destination, not the airplane, is similar in doTERRA. It's like people are buying essential oils and MetaPower and health and wellness products because they're after a transformation.
Yeah, we can
Not
sit
so
here
much
and
about
talk
the
all
product.
day. We can talk about how we have the purest oils, we have the best testing, you know, we have the best comp plan, right? And to the average person, that's just noise. They're like, huh? Like, I don't know what you're talking about and why I should care. And so the key is what's in it for them, right? That's the radio station everyone's always tuned into. What's in it for me? And people care about their health, they care about their community, their heart space. Like, do I feel valued and seen and cared for? And so that's the station that we get to tune into when we are promoting our beloved oils and our beloved compensation plan. So let's all do a better job of selling the destination, not the airline.
I love it. I mean, I'd keep a close eye on that.
Right.
Cool.
Oh, good reminder for us. Thank you, Delta.
Yeah. So friend, tell me about how you're feeling in September kicking off and just all the fun things like your convention experience or jitter. Are you nervous? You excited?
I have to admit that Natalie is still like working out some bugs in her speech. So she gets to talk on Saturday. And so, you know, until that thing is done and she can sit back down, I think there's going to be some collective butterflies and nerves. And we are so excited just to connect, like the rank retreat, the emotions training, just hugging people around convention. We're so stoked. I was just talking earlier about some friends we have internationally who are coming to town. We just got word that several of our friends from Romania got their visa, so that's super exciting. So grateful that you know, America has been more welcoming with some of the restrictions that have been in place. And so, you know, when we were in Europe this spring at the European convention, and earlier before that too, so many of our team members were like, yeah, we would do anything to be in America, and the restrictions just aren't going to allow for that. So super grateful that that has changed, and that ice is breaking loose, and people are coming to connect in person.
Yeah, there is nothing like being connected in person. I'm so looking forward to it. Like there's just, again, like we've turned the page. It's September.
Yeah,
and it's like, ooh, let's create, let's make magic happen. Let's get out our trapper keepers and our caboodles,
exactly.
our Aquanet.
For sure.
Right?
Yep.
my Bon Jovi poster. I mean, if we're just going to go nostalgic, let's go all in. But I do think there's something in the air. I had an email go out to my newsletter email list yesterday. My podcast is back, by the way. We got our 4th season and just love the show. And I'm so stoked for my lineup this autumn. We just have an incredible group of humans. And as we sent out this email, went live yesterday, I just think there's something in our DNA. Like, how many of you have kiddos that have recently gone back to school, either in August or they're going back to school this week? But I believe whether we have kids, don't have kids, kids have left the nest, like wherever you're at with all of that, I do think that there's something in our DNA where it's like you hit September and it's like back to school vibes, like just the energy of, and it's like, to me, the invitation of maybe a little more routine, certain habits. It's like, ooh, I want fresh paper, sharp, fresh pencils, that erasers. Again, that's why I say bring out the Trapper Keeper, the caboodles. But it's just that vibe of like, ooh, let's come back into some more of those well-nourished habits and routines. And what are we creating? And intention in the last 4 months of the year is really like to end the year with a bang. I have a course kicking off at 10 a.m. this morning, Mountain Time.
Awesome.
My annual mindset makeover course. So we do this once a year and it's an open to the public. Anyone can join it. And it's 4 weeks mindset coaching, mindset manifesting, marketing mindset, and your money mindset. And the fun thing is we started this during the pandemic and I've just decided to keep it. It's a pick your own price point. So anyone can choose in and decide, right, which price point they want to pick for it. So I'm just feeling this like total vibe of we're going to be really intentional with what we create the end of the next 4 months. So like, it's just on creation, podcast, the retreat next week, just fun things that we're up to. And I'm excited to see many of you guys next week. For those of you coming out live, coming out to convention.
Casey is asking if Success Academy is happening in October.
Yes. So October 9th is Success Academy. Casey's done Success Academy before, but I have many coaching clients that'll do it 2, 3, 4, 5. I've had a woman do it 7 or 8 times. Because once you do it once, Casey, you can come back at 50% off. Just private message me and I'll get you your code for that. But this is the last time I'm doing Success Academy. I've done this course for 10 years, October 9th. It's 2 months, 16 sessions, 8 weeks. It's everything I privately coach, business-wise, life coaching-wise, hybrid, but at a fraction of the cost. So it's the last time at this fee or this price point. Everything in 2024 with my own coaches and mentors, everything in the business is being up leveled. We'll still have definitely some fun courses and things throughout the year, but all of my coaching programs are shifting. It's the season of change.
It is.
So yeah, so if that's something you're interested in too, you can reach out to me. If even you want to do a free coaching consultation with a member of my team, we can do that. Just private message me. But Success Academy is October 9th kickoff date, and that is coachwithtiffany.com. The mindset course, that web URL is mymindsetmakeover.com. And again, that's a fun month-long experience. Recordings are included if you can't attend live. You get to own them. Has a gorgeous course workbook with it. Well, private Facebook group, but that's a pick what you can pay, your own price point for that course. So we just have a lot of fun creative juices, like shows back, mindset makeover, retreats are happening. Just good stuff.
I love it. So fun.
But this is partly why I do take a lot of time off in the summer, is then it just reinvigorates me. And part of why I'm motivated to be self-employed, like many of you probably, I'm curious, like part of your doTERRA desire is I just love like having more time freedom, right? And like where you have the capacity of, there's certain seasons I'm really on and we really create business. And then there's more seasons like in the summer and around the holidays where we just play a whole lot. So, you know what I'm excited about, Andy? I know
What's
you're going to
that?
be thrilled about this, and I can help get you connected to it if you want. But if you've never had holiday bedding in your life before, the game changer, you guys. There's something about crawling into a bed in November and December that's plaid, Christmas plaid, that will just elevate your joy list to the next level. I'm telling you guys.
This may be the one topic where Natalie and I, like the number of pillows that rest on our bed and get to be moved twice every single day. I'm like, nobody comes in here. Like, this is not even a showpiece. Like, why? Why the pile of pillows? So I'm sorry, I'm still not there yet.
Ladies, can someone help him out? Teach him. Because I mean, I'm already using my voice a lot today, and someone help Andy understand, why do we want the pillows on the bed and the bedding? Someone help him out.
Dang, it sounds like Becky and Allison are on my side, Tiff. So
I know, but maybe they just had, a bad experience one time or something.
but Stephanie is on your side. She says because it's pretty.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm with you. I don't need 28 pillows, but you probably need 5 or 6.
And
Just
I'm okay
saying.
with that. But the really, really long one is so flippin' heavy. Like it's
I know,
a tank.
but you're after an aesthetic. And some things
I
don't
know.
make sense to one another, but you're like, it makes my wife happy. Great. Right? Like there's certain things, like my husband, sometimes like there's things you're like, okay, but it makes him happy. So go for it, you know?
Oh.
I mean, he has a coyote tail in the freezer. So there's that. And you're like, okay, well, that's a little interesting. I would never choose that, but I want pillows. He wants a coyote tail. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are not make it or break it.
Nope. And you got to really choose, like, hey, what am I going to be huffy or
Yep.
passionate about, All I'm just saying is maybe what would help you get like even just more in love with your bedding is if you had holiday bedding this season.
Yeah.
I know we're a little ways away, but might be want to thinking about it.
Totally.
Okay, should we actually do some real coaching here today?
I think we should.
I think we should too.
So if you want to come and ask a question, talk out your doTERRA business, your personal space, where you're at with your goals, with your season of life and business, then go ahead and raise your hand, and we'd love to bring you on and just have a chat, a walk and talk. And you don't have to be walking to come on live today. Just not mandatory.
We're just mixing it up today, though, a little bit. It's like you got to keep things fresh.
Seriously, you're making us jealous, though, Tiff. Like,
this just tells me we're really close friends, because it's like I only do this with close friends.
That's for real.
We walk and we talk. A lot gets worked out. I will say this. If it's been a hot minute since you've visited your goals, like Andy was talking about, your vision, I can't, my own life regularly, just on a daily basis, like I'm going to stop for this thought. The reality is, like, think about how many places your brain travels on just a daily basis, to all the thoughts, to all the feelings, from errands to run and thoughts about this kid or that kid or this thing or business this, and wow, I was scrolling this and this funny meme, to like this depressing news. Like there's just so much our brain takes in. But how often are we, in that space of like, are we clear about and visiting where we're going and the power of your own vision? And I remember years ago reading this quote, found it on Pinterest. I don't remember the author, that said, without vision, man or woman simply repeats the past. So a lot of times when we feel like, oh, it's just Groundhog's Day or same old, same, different, just same things. And it's like, what's the same is our thoughts, our vision, right? That's what I'm so passionate about this mindset course, is like, let's visit your vision, but doing that for yourselves, if it's been a minute, it's like, where am I going? What do I want to create? Because just even in a day, how much you are in reactivity, how much I'm in reactivity, of you're just responding to, reacting to your environment, to something your kid said, or something you saw online, or someone texts you something, or this, that, or the other, and just how much stimulus we're regularly reacting to. And kind of like, remember at the state fair or your amusement park, that game where like the whack-a-mole. And a lot of life feels like whack-a-mole, right? Like, oh, bright shiny object, bright shiny object, bright shiny object, versus really taking a moment to pause, brewing a warm cup of hot Creo brew or hot cocoa or whatever your desired is, or getting those water goals, but having the experience of dropping into, and it's like, where am I going? And I invite us to visit that vision every single day, but especially if it's been weeks or months, like, let's come home to some of that clarity again. Where are you going in your home, in your life, your business? What are the habits you want to recommit to, start, stop, continue, and just visiting that. So anyway, I just wanted to, because the power of that is so true. And I think one of the ways that we aren't progressing as humans, or one of the ways, whether you want to say, just the nature of life or the devil is in your distractions, is like how often we are distracted. I am regularly every day. That's why I have to practice it daily. Is like, where am I going? What am I creating? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up online, in relationship? What am I creating? What's the most important thing I can be doing with my time blocking and practicing those things, just because there's a daily barrage of distractions. Again, the whack-a-mole and the, oh, this, that, this thing, that thing, versus like, wait a minute, what am I creating? Where am I going? I just think is so important to be about.
So true. Love that. Okay, Marianne has come on with us as a panelist. So Marianne, welcome. Where are you calling from?
San Diego.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, can hear you great.
Thank you.
So how can we help you today?
So I don't know if you got a chance, the chats were going fast there, so I don't know if you got a chance to see my comment. So I signed up for Rank Retreat, and I signed up for the launch, and I have signed up for some, not yours, this will be my first time with you guys, so I'm really excited. I've signed up for so many various launches. I've been with doTERRA like 8 years, and I don't even hit elite anymore. I'm very, very wobbly, and I don't have vision. I don't have a why. And it was interesting. One of the elite retreats, when I first hit elite a long time ago, I went to elite retreat, and there were the session on doing your vision board, and I left the room. I left the room, and then later on in the whole thing there, I thought, there's a reason they have us do vision boards. So I left the room wherever they were on to the next thing, and I went to the room where all the vision board supplies were, and I sat there, and I actually just started crying. It was that hard for me, and I'm going to start crying now. And I just feel like I'm stuck, and I'm way too far into my life to be. There's no reason to be stuck. I'm smart. I know I have an income tax business, so I know I'm smart. I've gotten through so many obstacles in my life, so I know that I'm a survivor. I know that I can work hard. I don't know how to get unstuck. And I know that's a great big non-definite question. And Tiffany, I did sign up for your whatever it's called, that starts right after this.
Tiff, do you want to start?
Yes, I just didn't want to talk over you, Andy, if that's something you're popping in. How many of you can relate to what she's saying, right? To what Marianne is saying. And I think that, I have lots of thoughts. If I just said all of that to you, how would you coach me?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
If you did know, at least one thing you would say, maybe not the perfect thing, And that might be what's getting in your way is I need the perfect why or perfect vision. But what's one thing you would coach me if I'm on your doTERRA team and I just said to you, gosh, I don't feel like I have vision. I don't have a why. I'm this and I'm that, and it's like, what would you say to me?
I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't have a team. I mean, I really don't know.
Well, there's a lot of layers to that and where you want to go with it. And, a lot of things how that could influence that. But I think at the end of the day, ultimately, it's your decision. It's about a choice, right? Some people where they're really stuck is they're waiting for like a blackboard to drop from the sky. And on the blackboard is, here's your why, here's your purpose. And they're waiting to have this synchronistic divinity experience. And while I'm not saying that can't happen, your life really is just like, Marianne, what do you want? And you choose and you decide, right? I wrote a post about this about a month ago. Years ago, I had this gentleman approach me after I gave a talk, a keynote speech at a women in business event. And he walked up to me and he said, I've always wanted to be a speaker. I knew of this gentleman. He's a great life coach. And he approached me and he asked this question. And he said, I've always wanted to be a speaker. How did you become a speaker? And I looked at him, and Marianne, I wasn't being a smarty pants because I have that part of my personality. I love a little sarcasm, a little wit, a little playfulness. But I wasn't bantering with him. And I just looked at him and I said directly, because I decided to.
Mhm.
And he looked at me and he kind of blinked, and I went, oh. And I get a lot of times in life, we're either waiting for permission, we're waiting for someone else, whether that's a parent figure, a boss, someone we look up to, have on a pedestal to give us permission, right? Or to give us the awareness. But ultimately, it is your decision. What do you want?
When in my younger years, I don't mean younger, like young, but I have a daughter who's 38. And when I was raising her, the why, I think when you have kids, the why is literally right in front of you. There's all these demands, and I don't even know if it's really a why. It's just you're answering all the demands of of raising a human. It was interesting because, excuse me, oftentimes, since she's grown up, she's an adult, she's out on her own, she's fine. I thought, I accomplished way more, exponentially more when I was raising her, when I was starting my income tax business, driving her back to school every day, doing her sporting events, doing all the things. And I'll tell you, when you said, because you decided to, her last year of college, she was floundering. And just because she was goofing off, she, went away to school, totally goofing off. And in her last year of college, she finally got her act together, took double load and got almost straight A's. And she said to me, aren't you proud of me? And I said, well, proud isn't exactly the word. I said, I'm really excited for you. I says, now, what was the difference between the first 3 years and your last year? And she didn't know what I was getting at. And I said, you decided to get your act together and finish and actually graduate from college. So when you said, because you decided to, it totally resonated, because that's what I said to her. And I understand the concept. I totally, you get what you focus on. I totally get all that. I just don't know what to focus on. I don't know what it is I want to decide. I actually had somebody several years back, they were talking about bucket lists, and it came around to me, and I kind of like froze up, and I said, I don't have a bucket list. And she said, are you a single parent? I said, yes. And she said, single parents often get stuck in survival mode and don't ever allow themselves the opportunity to like thrive or have a bucket list, or, the luxury of thinking of those kind of things. And so I don't know if that's partly it. In a way that feels like an excuse. So I don't want to say that that's my problem. I also don't want to say that it's because I don't have an upline. Because, there's enough people in doTERRA that have succeeded that didn't have an upline either. But then I look at the people that do have uplines and I see the relationships and I see how they can go, bounce ideas off of each other. And that's valuable. That's absolutely valuable in any aspect of life, if you have somebody to bounce ideas off of and to collaborate with. So there's a whole bunch of just
Yeah.
comments there.
You know what I love is I love real talk. And I do think like Andy understands, Andy and Natalie, I mean, this gets to be your upline, right? I'm glad you're here because you're getting nourished in community, but they understand, and without making it dramatic or, gossipy, it's like, but they didn't have upline support either.
Right.
And but all they've achieved, they've created a lot of cross-line support. And it's not, all of these various things, and hired coaches and did things to help them grow, because support really does matter. So I'm so glad you're in this environment. And yes, maybe at some extent, every one of you watching and listening or listening back to this, all of you have what we'd call a comfort zone. You can also call it a familiar zone. And if you couldn't pay your bills, I think you'd get real motivated, right? If I don't know where I'm going to live or how I'm going to eat, we're real motivated. But that's still, like, to your point, that conversation, you're in survival mode. But one of my mentors said something once to me that was like kind of shocking, truthfully, at the time when he said it, but he was teaching a very similar point, which he said, the why is the booby prize. Even if you lay on the couch and you have a therapist, even if I in this moment could give you this massive illumination to, here's why I don't really have a bucket list. Maybe it's the single mom thing. Maybe it was, I didn't feel like I could as a child, or maybe it was this thing or that thing, or maybe I'm just too comfortable. He would say, your why is the booby prize. Because sometimes we spend all this time, and I understand why we do that. As humans, we're meaning-making creatures. We're searching for meaning. But a lot of times when we're in that kind of a search, it's like being at a yard sale and you're just searching through a lot of junk to find a few little gems. Ultimately, you come home to the same principle, which is decide. What do you want? Decide that you want it. And then ultimately, again, I'm a big fan of having effort-based goals. You'll hear about this in the Mindset Makeover course as well, is the power of like setting those goals of how many people do you nourish every day or every week, right? Having effort-based goals, or like y'all being part of my morning walk and talk this morning for half an hour of like, hey, I need to get some movement in before I jump into I have several back-to-back coaching and podcasting things today. And it's like, I want to get some movement in. And I know that that's non-negotiable for me, is some kind of daily movement. So rather than tracking the number on the scale or things like that, I'm focused on the effort-based goal. So, but see, that's more strategy talk, love. And a lot of this is back to, again, you just get to decide. And because you want it is enough. What you desire, and you're like, hey, well, even if my desire is, I just want more connection. Maybe you're not hungry for money. Maybe it's not about like, hey, I need to make money to take this exotic vacation or buy this dream home or car. Like, not everyone's motivated by that. But even if you're like, I just want the connection of having a deeper community where I'm showing up to serve more people with the products and tools that we have. But I appreciate you saying that. The other thought that I have, truthfully, that may sound a little bit unique as a coach, because I sell courses and programs all the time. Don't sign up for another course until you take action on the one you've just done. That's one of my personal things, because I'm regularly like, I'm part of different courses and events. I just went to an event 2 weeks ago and I signed up for, I just regularly have coaching and programs in my own life, but my own personal is I won't let myself sign up for another thing unless I've taken at least one action on the one I've just purchased. Otherwise, you're using coaching and courses and programs as a form of entertainment.
Okay.
That's just my personal, for me, like, oh, it's fun to entertain it and the possibility. And, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to see change, then it's like, I'm going to take action at least on, and even if the action, like from our coaching here this morning, is you're going to get off this call and you're going to text or nourish, call or text or reach out to 3 people.
That's actually good. I haven't finished reading the strengths book and I haven't taken the strengths test, but I believe that one of my strengths, I don't know if it's a strength, is a learner. So when you were talking about taking the courses, but it's not even, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if that's it as far as the learning part, but I get stuck And I feel like I don't know what step to do. I don't know what to do to nourish the people. I don't know how to reach out to the people. I get stuck there. You know, and I absolutely agree with what you're talking about. Do whichever course I've taken, actually do what it taught me.
Yeah. Well, that way, just because again, it's like the most important success principle on the planet is taking action. But I give you permission to take a lot of imperfect action. I was saying this to my coaching group. I had a beautiful group of women this summer. We wrapped our session, our mastermind yesterday, and it's like ship a lot of B-level work. And truthfully, love it in coach mode. I'm not in girlfriend mode, right? Because girlfriend mode, we just, oh, okay. Coach mode is like when you say, I don't know how to nourish people, that's a lie, and quit telling that story. Like just how you raised your hand right now, we're connecting, and I think you're lovely. Right. And it's like, I want to see this woman win. And sometimes when we're like, I don't have the perfect script, another lying excuse is when I ask you to nourish someone, all I'm saying is even if you just text 3 people and say, I'm thinking of you, or how are you, or are your kids back to school, or how are you feeling, or how's your garden doing this summer, or what's this? I mean, whatever the context is, how you know the person, but even just the like, hey, I'm thinking of you, and hey, how's things going, and what are you up to? And you know, again, it isn't like you reach out and say, hey, I want to sell you an oil. And I don't know how to say that. It's that will naturally evolve, but like you're a lovely woman. So I think part of it, sis, is you got to also be careful. And I'm like, you know, of like the stories you're telling yourself. I don't know how to do this, or I don't know this, or I don't know that. Because as soon as we tell that, we just shut ourselves down where it's like, no, we want to be mindful of that. Andy, what would you say to the same shares or questions?
Oh man, thank you so much for everything you've offered. It's so easy, right? To just if we're a learner, to go into learning, right? If we're a connector, just to go into the connection purely, and the fact is, like, whatever is our priority is exactly what we will make happen. And doTERRA is such an amazing playground just to go and create whatever it is you want to. And so if you want to drive sales, you can do that. If you want to create team connection, you can do that. So I guess my biggest question for you, Marianne, is when you sat down to do the vision board exercise and you said you just had to leave, what was coming up for you? What stood in the way of you and making your vision tangible?
Oh, you're talking. I don't know, and that was part of. I mean, because I knew that I was refusing to do what everybody else in the group was doing, and it's like, why am I not joining everybody else? I mean, I literally left the room, and then I went back because I realized it's like I think that was a mistake. I need to go back. And then I kind of like paralyzed as I was looking at the different pictures and actually cutting out some stuff, and just tears. I mean, I was in the room all by myself, and just the tears started coming down, and I kind of like froze, and I thought, I don't even know, I can't even do this. And so I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know why, and I've thought about that so many, and I've never to this day done a vision board, and I don't have a bucket list. And
so what is it about doTERRA that spoke to you? Like what I mean, of all the millions of things you could do with your time and energy, what is it about doTERRA that actually resonated with you?
To tell you the truth, I'll tell you how I started. As my daughter was growing up, as our kids grow up, we get less and less time with them. And so our church was having a craft fair, and I thought, oh, that's something I can do with my daughter. So, and again, because, like I said, I have an income tax business, I got this left analytical brain. Okay. And so as I got closer and closer to the time to do this crafts fair, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to craft. I'm not a craft person, but in the meantime, and I had not heard of doTERRA yet. I hadn't even heard of doTERRA. But I had heard of, I'm also kind of a pseudo prepper, a novice prepper. And I was following this woman online who was a prepper, and I was learning lots of stuff from her. And after about a year, she started talking about essential oils strictly from a first aid perspective, because, you have to have first aid if you're a prepper. And so I started doing things. I started making different, like healing salves and that kind of stuff with this stuff. And so as I was telling my daughter, I don't know what to make for the crafts fair. And she goes, well, what about your oils? And I said, what about them? And she goes, well, you make stuff with your oils. I said, yeah, so what? And she said, Mom, people buy that stuff. I said, they do? And she goes, yeah, they do all day long. I'm like, oh, okay. So, okay, yeah, I can do that for the crafts fair. Well, then as I was buying a tent, buying a table, buying all this stuff, my tax preparer alarm went off. And I said, oh my gosh, you're spending money on something that's kind of frivolous. And it's not really even fun. Because again, I'm not a crafty person. And you're not getting a tax deduction for this. That was the moment that I decided to turn it into a business. Okay. And then I met 3 doTERRA people in the next week. So talk about, what's the word for that? Like serendipity?
Yeah, totally.
And so by the time the crafts fair came, and I bought a diamond kit,
Awesome.
which I had to justify that. So I thought, how do I justify paying that much money when I don't even know what I'm doing? And it was, I'm making an investment in my future. Instead of putting in money into my Roth, I'm going to put money into this business venture. And didn't know the first thing really about essential oils, didn't know anything about doTERRA other than I had met these 3 different people. And I knew how, multi-level marketing, I know how network marketing worked. And so I knew that who I picked would make a difference. And unfortunately, I picked incorrectly. But that's there. So by the time the crafts fair came, I was a doTERRA rep. My booth was a doTERRA booth. So that's how I started. So it wasn't even like I had this passion for anything. I was just, it's kind of, I don't know if you've ever heard of anybody else starting their doTERRA business that way.
No, I love that. That's a great story. So it sounds like your natural gifts are more in the analytical left brain zone.
Probably,
so,
yeah.
So just from a straight up practical analytical perspective, what is it that you see the doTERRA offers that you want?
I like the passive income thing, because with my tax business, it's not passive income. I'm definitely hauling buckets. We're getting ready. In fact, as soon as I get back from convention, I'm going to hit, a deadline, and I'm going to be hitting it hard, because in California, the deadline got extended. There wasn't an April 15th deadline. So 50% of my clients haven't come in yet, which means I'm going to be hitting it real hard for that last 5 weeks. And or 4 weeks by the time I get back from convention. And I'm 67. I should have been able to retire by now in the American mindset. And I'm nowhere near ready to retire. One, I have enough energy that I don't have to, and I remember when I first joined doTERRA, my thought was, I am a tax person with a doTERRA business. I want to be a doTERRA person, a doTERRA business with a tax on the side, and then eventually just kind of peter that out, because it's really intense. It's an expensive occupation. My software is several $1,000s every single year. So I'd like to make that switch.
So it sounds like your analytical self sees the straight up practicality of having residual income through doTERRA. So what if you just wrote that on a piece of paper? Like, it doesn't have to have all the pretty pictures and all the magazine cutouts. Like, what if you just picked a number of what you want to create, and that's your vision board? Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be, something you post on Instagram and get a million likes. Like, it sounds like to you, there's a block around the creativity, right? When we were talking about the craft fair, it all came back to, you didn't have creative ideas. So I think the same thing is true here. Like, when it comes to your personality, your just the way your mind works, it's very, very practical. And so maybe just having a number on a piece of paper, like if you think about a number, what is it you would love to create as a residual income in doTERRA? What's the number?
See that almost even goes to the bucket list thing, because I live very simply, very, very simply. My condo's almost paid off. My car is paid off. I live well within my means. I was raised poor. And so I think I have that mentality that you do what you can do. You don't have these big grandiose things, which is
what's the
interesting.
number?
I don't know. I don't know a number. So that'll be my homework for today before I get to rank retreat. Before I meet you in person on Monday.
Great. Yeah. Start with just a number. Don't give yourself this story that I need to have a pretty vision board with lots of, colors and pictures and pretty words. It sounds like for you, what speaks to you is just like, hey, it's just a source of residual income that gives me options, right? Like I don't want to be a slave to a tax business that requires so much of my time and energy. So I think that's a fantastic way to start, is just putting, making a vision board that works for you, right? It doesn't have to be anybody else's. It's not to impress anyone. It's just for you.
Okay.
So do you feel like when you, let's say the number was $3,000 a month, I'm just pulling a number out of the air. So let's say you've got that as your goal. That's your vision, that's your goal, $3,000 a month. Do you feel worthy of receiving a residual income of $3,000 a month?
Worthy?
Deserving, whatever the language is that works for you.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't be?
Great. Okay. Just making sure that's not the issue, because for a lot of people, the block when it comes to making a goal or making a vision board is they don't feel worthy of receiving the thing that they want. And so just the pure act of wanting it is out of alignment for them. So it doesn't sound like that's an issue for you. I mean, based on your comment, who wouldn't be? I think you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll work on that. That's my homework.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Put a number in black ink on a piece of white paper. It doesn't have to be more complex than that.
Okay, I'm going to show you my paper on Monday. Now,
Fantastic.
are you going to actually? No, because I know that it breaks. If I understand correctly, if I read correctly and kind of read between the lines correctly, the first day is more like everybody's together, and then the second day is
breakouts. Yep. The
second day is broken into your groups.
Yep, exactly.
How many people are there generally? Do you have?
We're expecting a few hundred. We don't have final numbers yet, because there's still some people that are,
Oh, sure.
tuning in details, but we're expecting probably 200 to 300.
Oh, wow. A lot of people.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great training.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm sure the training is wonderful, but sometimes in a crowd that big, it's easy to get lost if you want to.
Well, that's why we're doing the breakouts.
Yeah,
the breakouts will be, anywhere from 10 to 30. Like, it's really manageable numbers in the breakouts.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Well, we're excited to see you on Monday.
So and as you've probably heard this a million times since you guys have dealt with so many people. This was completely outside my comfort zone, doing this right now. And that's why I just hit the button immediately, because I thought that before I talk myself out of it, and before my voice gets too jittery and I sweat too much. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, that's huge. That's the first step, right? Is saying, hey, I could use a little help. I could use some feedback, some input. And so thank you for raising your hand. I know that the comments were blowing up with people saying, that's me. I can totally relate. So thank you for being their voice today.
Thank you. So I think the call's over.
Yeah. Yep. I think so.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take up everybody else's time.
No. That was perfect. We like going deep rather than wide. So that was perfect. Okay. Well, thanks for hopping on with us, and we'll see you Monday.
I look forward to it. Bye. Thank you.
Fantastic. Just looking in the comments to see if we have any other questions. Yes. Yes, so good. So relevant, right? Like all of us have stuff. We have blocks, we have blind spots. And one of my favorite trainings ever, the coach was standing in the front of the room and he taught the principle of blind spots. And he's like, here's what a blind spot is. And everybody has them, right? And then he asked the question, how many of you are pretty clear on exactly what your blind spots are? And guess how much of the room raised their hand? Over half. And then he shouts out, no, you don't. That's why they're a blind spot. And so that's, I think, the most dangerous space to be in, is to think that we know our blind spots. So if we have the humility and the willingness to be wrong, or to think, to be open to more information, to be willing to say, hey, I probably can't see everything. And so thank you, Marianne, for your willingness. And thank you, everyone, for showing up on the regular and be willing to say, hey, I'd love an extra set of eyes on this. So that's where the magic happens. And that's where the breakthrough comes, is a willingness to be wrong, to not know, and to learn more. So we will see you all in 2 weeks if you're not coming to convention. So we will not be having this call next week. But thank you all so much for hopping on, and have a wonderful time at convention. We hope to see all of you in person and give big hugs. So thank you so much. See you in a couple of weeks.